Hello, welcome to Wand and Crown. I'm Haley, that's Keeley, and today we're joined by Meredith, who is another one of our lovely, wonderful agents at Carry On the Magic. And we are going to talk all about managing food allergies or aversions while in the parks, because Meredith has a lot of experience with that. She's over here.
I was going to say, you're all
It's
mixed
backwards.
up.
So yeah, Meredith, you handle allergies a lot in the parks because you yourself have several allergies and you help your clients a lot with managing that. So just kind of a broad, tell us about your experience of handling allergies in the parks.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess to start off, I am a vegetarian, which already kind of makes things a little bit difficult. Disney does a great job, or parks in general tend to do a really good job because they're catering to a large audience. But I'm a vegetarian. I'm allergic to most dairy products. When I travel, I just say I'm allergic to dairy because it's just the easiest thing to stay safe. I'm allergic to gluten, and I'm allergic to tomatoes and cocoa powder.
Oh, I did not realize it was that expensive.
Yeah. So thankfully, none of those necessarily send me into like a hyper anaphylactic shock or anything like that. But it is still an allergy. And I hurt if I eat them. Tomatoes make me throw up. Cocoa powder makes me throw up. So I basically know if I've consumed one of those, and it's
Immediately.
Immediate. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's why I love traveling to Disney so much. And people are always, you guys know this. Why are you going to Disney again? Because it's the safest place I can eat food, essentially. And it's fun and I love it. But there's always something, no matter where I go, there's always something I can find that's actually more than like a side salad. I eat my fair share of side salads, don't get me wrong. But there's actually something of substance normally that I can eat in the parks or the resorts. So
awesome. So what would you say makes the most difference when you're going to the parks? Like what is the thing that you tell your clients or yourself to look out for when you're going there?
The biggest thing is always start off, whether it's a dining reservation or a quick service, doing your research is the biggest thing, or having a travel agent that you can rely on, who either has allergies. A lot of my clients have similar allergies to me. I help a lot of gluten-free people. And so starting the conversation as early as possible, to give recommendations for places like, especially with maybe the resort you're staying at, for good options based on which allergies you have. But then talking with a cast member or your server or your hostess and starting walking up and saying, there's someone who has a food allergy in my party, and at the parks there's typically a dedicated allergy menu that they'll bring to the table along with all of the other regular menus for other people.
Oh, so okay, you said dedicated menu. Epcot is festivals pretty much at this point. Do the festival kiosks have like separate menus that they can bring out to you, or is that something that you really need to look up online first?
Yeah, so I always do my research beforehand for festivals, because they're able to take a lot more creative liberties with their food and their drink offerings. So I normally can narrow it down to at most 10 things that I can eat. I think at Flower and Garden is typically the festival I can eat the most at. And then from there, some things are obvious. If it's not necessarily a cooked meal, that has lots of different aspects to it, I'm a lot more comfortable just knowing yep, I know this doesn't have tomatoes in it because I can't see a tomato. sort of thing. Or I know there's no gluten in this because it's just fruit. And the menus that you get are the little festival pamphlets. Those will typically notate if it's dairy-free, plant-based, or gluten-free. That I've found can vary sometimes. So there's a couple Instagram accounts and YouTube accounts that I follow. There's vegan Disney dining, or I know there's a gluten-free Disney account as well. It's not associated with the parks. It's somebody like you or I who is gluten-free, and they just
go and do the research.
They're local, and that's what they want to make content about. And I love it. It's wonderful. But for festivals, because there's typically not actually cooking there, they'll call the chef who's in the kitchen actually making all of the food, and they'll reference the recipe to be able to confirm. I know for Flower and Garden this year, there was a plant-based meatball, but it wasn't gluten-free because it was in a wrap. As long as they removed the wrap or didn't put it in the wrap at all, I was able to eat it. Sometimes they'll have a binder at the kiosk, but it's a hit or a miss sometimes if it's a binder or if they have to call.
Okay.
But regardless, you can get anything checked.
Okay.
So you mentioned
make modifications. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Have you found you can make modifications easily? So like the meatball with the wrap, like are there a lot of like, is that something they're really good at accommodating?
Definitely. And that's helped me be able to actually eat a lot. It opens up a lot more options, especially at festivals, because there's typically like different components to the dishes. So it could be just like removing the bun. So at Food and Wine, they normally have an Impossible slider. Well, if I couldn't make a modification to that, I wouldn't be able to eat that. And there goes a good amount of protein for me. And it's delicious. It's one of my favorite things. And I don't like fake. I do not like fake meat.
Oh, what was the thing that we had at Farce that was delicious that we
The risotto?
Yes.
So good. I went back
like 3 times.
I went back so many times, but that was in February, right? For Mosh. Okay. I flew to and from Orlando 3 times in February, the shortest month. I was there for 3 different trips. And the first 2 times it was delicious, but the third time it was so bad. And I was so upset. I don't like take things back, and I'll eat it. I don't complain normally because I'm like, food I can eat. I did. I went up to a cast member and was like, this is not edible at all. Like the rice wasn't cooked. Like it was bad.
Oh.
So I'm really glad we all experienced the delicious risotto.
I feel like that happens with the food, like the food booths. So it can be very hit or miss because it just like depends on the day sometimes. So earlier you mentioned talking to the chef. Now, when you go like to sit down restaurants or quick serve restaurants, do you typically do that? How does that work when you're doing sit down or quick serve?
So for me, because I go so frequently, I know the system pretty well. If a chef, so I don't typically need to talk to a chef because I go to the places where I know I can eat. So like Magic Kingdom, I always go to Skipper Canteen because that's basically the only place I can eat in Magic Kingdom.
The best place, honestly.
And it's essentially a dedicated gluten-free kitchen. I don't think there might be like something on the kids menu, like if they have mac and cheese or something like that, but everything else is essentially gluten-free. It's wonderful. So like there, I don't need to talk to a chef. If I'm going to like a brand new restaurant, maybe at Disney Springs, I've talked to chefs before, especially if they're not owned by Disney. But typically I don't. Whenever I have a client who has a food allergy, I always recommend that they talk to a chef. if they're worried about it, especially if you have multiple allergies, because a lot of the times there isn't something on the menu that you can eat if you have more than 2 allergies sometimes. Well, enough to actually have a meal and feel like you're
not eat a side salad.
Exactly.
Or like a fruit cup. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And like, I'm really sick of the pineapple melon combo and 2 grapes. Like, I love some variety. So in that case, I definitely always recommend talking to a chef. For in January, I ran Dopey again in January, and my dad was there with my dad and my uncle, and another family friend. And we wanted to have, my uncle ran Dopey as well, and we wanted to have like a really nice dinner and watch the fireworks. And so I got us a reservation for it's on top of the Contemporary California Grill. Thank you. And I was really scared to go there because there's literally nothing. I don't think there's anything on the menu I can eat, because their vegetarian option is ravioli. And so I'm like, but so I talked to, there's a PDF that you can fill out for your dining reservations if you have multiple allergies. If you don't, yes, sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm like spewing random little thoughts everywhere. And so for that, I did I filled out the PDF for myself. I sent it in. I couldn't email to confirm that they got it. And I've done that for some of my clients as well. Another bonus of working with a travel agent, you don't have to necessarily do that. You can have them do it for you. And they were prepared. When I showed up for the reservation, they had my allergies listed out. And I was able to talk to, the chef talked to the waiter, because it was like, it's easier for you guys to figure out a meal to make and then come back and explain it to me. And they were able to make me a meal. They had gluten-free pasta tossed with olive oil and roasted vegetables, and a beautiful salad and the allergy rolls. At that point, I was so full that it was like, don't even bother bringing me a dessert. But they brought me up a bunch of fruit, packaged in a to-go box for me.
That's awesome. You were like, I'm good. You really took care of me. Thank you.
It was like, I want this because it's a prefix. And in 20 minutes, I will be hungry because it was the day of the marathon. So it's like eating in 20-minute increments all day. It was like just constantly eating. So yeah, it's hopefully to answer your question of, do I talk to a chef? Do I tell my clients to talk to a chef? It depends on your comfort level and the restaurant. At quick services, they typically reference a binder. They have a binder that they can cross-reference for you. Or again, if you want to, you can talk to a chef.
All right. Cool. What would you say is Skipper Canteen your favorite restaurant on property? Or is there one that you like more that's better accommodating?
That's really hard to say. So I think for ordering off the menu, Skipper Canteen is probably my favorite sit-down menu because it's easy. I love a good dad joke.
And it's got great atmosphere.
It really does. And currently, it's the only place in Magic Kingdom that serves alcohol as well. Not that it's a requirement for going to the parks or enjoying your time, but when it's hotter than heck, and you want a margarita, they have a pretty decent margarita. So I went to Chico, the cooking place in Animal Kingdom Lodge for the first time. That was phenomenal. I was able to order off the menu without modifying anything as well. And I think a lot of people sleep on that because it's a little bit more expensive because the food is amazing quality, the service is impeccable, and it's at a resort that's a little bit farther away.
Yeah.
The video I sent you of that soup, I still
That's
have
where that
dreams.
Is that where it's
I have
from?
dreams about that soup. Oh my God. And I was recording. I was like, wait, no, you can't pour the soup yet. I need a video. And the server lady, she was like, okay. And I was like, no, please, like, it's an important, like,
thing.
This
there's
is a thing for me.
100% Meredith friendly. Do not have to modify anything. It's important. So
This is a big deal for me. This is a really big deal.
yeah, I immediately sent it to Sarah and I was like, Sarah, I can eat soup. And she's the one who noticed that I was giggling in the video. She was like, I love your little giggle. It's like, thank you.
Giggling over soup.
Oh, look really tasty. Sorry.
So
we will put that somewhere. That video somewhere because it was
right. So those are your favorite places. Hayley and I saw when we were at Coronado for our summit last year, you definitely struggled there trying to find things to eat. Where would you tell people, I guess, I don't want to say avoid, but I guess be wary of, or just know going in that they're going to maybe have issues or have a like really selected menu?
Yeah. So from my experience, especially at Disney World, because that's where I go the most, resorts that are a little bit more closed off from the rest of the Disney bubble. So resorts like Coronado, where it's not connected to any other resort. It only has buses. It's not connected to Disney Springs. And honestly, there's a convention center connected to it as well. When there's convention centers connected, you tend to get food that is easier to serve to the masses, which I know is kind of counterintuitive because it's Disney World, but you're getting easier food to make. So burgers, fries, sports bar food. So unfortunately, I tend to not send people to Coronado. I know a lot of people love the resort. It's beautiful. It has grown on me for two reasons, and I'll tell you in a second. But then depending on how you want to experience Disney, I do tend to stray away from like the Art of Animation, the Pop Century, the all-star resorts, just because they're catered for younger families more typically. They don't have really a sit-down restaurant typically, and it's mostly food court food. There's a few exceptions in there, and I haven't spent that much time at those resorts, but I've always struggled every time that I have been there. I travel with a lot of snack food. That's just easy that I know I can get, make a meal out of. Applesauce packets are the best. And so those are the ones that if you have an allergy or multiple food allergies and are wanting to spend at least some time at your resort, I would say stay away from the resorts that don't have a Disney Springs or a park or a boardwalk easily accessible.
Yeah.
Or other resorts.
That you'd have to send people to Epcot or Hollywood Studios. That wouldn't necessarily be like a eat in the food court type place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But Coronado Springs has gone up a peg in my books because they've added at Three Bridges, they added a dish that I can eat. The last time I was there, it was wonderful. So it's a tofu rice bowl, and it's really good.
Please tell me it doesn't.
We got right now, was it?
No, it wasn't when we were all there.
No, when we were all there, it wasn't. I specifically
asked for like gluten-free chips, and then you were like, "But I can eat the chips.
I can eat the chips, and I can
and make the guac."
Yeah,
I remember it being like it was weird. It was but that's good. They added something,
but then they took away the hummus.
Oh,
I think they had hummus,
you talk about
and the chips were. Yeah, it was that the chips weren't gluten-free. for some reason, but the hummus was, and I was like, well, can I just get like a, oh, the chips from the guac I could eat. That's what you were saying, Hayley. It's a weird combination. I was like, I can piece together things.
And then we got rained out on top of it.
And Disney was wonderful. They like brought us a bunch of towels, and it was great. But cold
for once. Actually, that was the only time we were cold that trip.
Only time ever. Yeah, it was so warm.
Do it again this year.
Yep. Okay. Last question from me, at least. I can't remember if it's you that has said this or if it was Brooke who mentioned it. Disney World to Disneyland comparisons. I think Disneyland is surprisingly less accommodating. Yeah.
I struggled. I went there in May for a couple of days. I struggle bust hard to find anything to eat. I could eat nothing at Star Wars night. I brought a granola. I have these protein Pop-Tart things that I can eat. And I like ate one of those and an applesauce pack and popcorn. So yeah, I don't know what the logic is behind it on their end, but there's like almost nothing I can eat. I was able to modify an Impossible Burger in California Adventure. But even on the, like for their festivals in DCA, I always look at the menus and I get super excited. And there's, I think maybe one time there was something I was able to eat, but I had to modify it.
Wow. I don't know if it's just because I have this idea in my head that like California's very like not earthy crunchy, but typically like people who are doing gluten-free, vegetarian, like stuff like that. And Disneyland is more of a locals park, so you would think they would have more of those options and tastier versions of them because the restaurants in the surrounding area do. But
exactly, yeah, if you go outside of Disneyland, there's wonderful accommodations. I mean, you still have to for me at least, I kind of have to still modify a little bit, but it's typically just, oh, can you leave the tomatoes off of this, please? And it works.
That's wild.
That just reminded me of something you and I talked about after Jollywood Nights. Didn't you have an issue at Jollywood Nights where there was nothing you could eat there either? But I think you said Mickey's Very Merry, you could a little bit. Maybe.
Yes. So that, Disney, if you're listening,
please bring more allergy-friendly snacks.
Please bring I loved Very Merry. And I really did enjoy Jollywood Nights as well. I love that they made it longer and are adding some more things to it this year. But yeah, there was no food items that I could eat at Jollywood Nights. And then the same with Mickey's Very Merry. I could drink the apple cider, which is cold, and it was good and refreshing because it was warm. I was walking around in a tank top. It was nice, but the allergy treat was a chocolate chip cookie. And they're like, oh, but it's vegan. It's vegan, nut-free, gluten-free, everything. I'm like, I'm allergic to cocoa powder. And it's not even like at the Christmas or at the Halloween parties where they have lots of different treats. It's no, you get a cookie pack, and it's the same pack at every single stop. So yeah,
there are so many good gluten-free cookie companies out there that they could just use, and they've got like snickerdoodles, peanut butter, like
a little bit of variety for different allergies.
Yeah. And I will say, I talked to a cast member and I was like, they were trying to like sending me to one of the gates to get a treat. I was like, oh, like I'm not even gonna go up because it's the cookie I can't eat. And she's like, oh, like what else are you allergic to? Maybe we can find you something in the kitchen. And she's like, oh, we have the allergy-friendly brownie. And then she went, oh, Never mind.
She tried so hard.
She tried so hard. And like that's that like
with more chocolate. She was like, but she tried. A for effort. A for effort.
And that's the thing. Like the cast members are always so accommodating, and they really do want to make sure that you're happy, safe, number one, and but then happy and fed. So yeah.
So you think that the Halloween party then is a little bit more accommodating? If we're talking about parties at Disney, Mickey's Not So Scary is more accommodating than both the Christmas parties then.
Mm-hmm. I would, for me and my allergies,
Yep.
You also get a little bit more of a variety at the Halloween party. Like, and I don't think I've never been able to eat any of the like specialty treats or anything as well. But I always make a reservation at Skipper Canteen so that I can get a good meal. And then I don't have to worry about it. And then just eat some candy.
Yeah.
And popcorn. I love popcorn, so.
That's good.
And Disney popcorn.
Disney popcorn, very good.
Is vegan and gluten-free.
And not sodium free.
Oh God, no. No.
That's
Who
okay.
needs that?
That's why it tastes so good.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. Anything else that you think that people should know before we sign off?
I'm trying to think. When in doubt, always do just pack some snacks. If you have allergies or are worried about it, you're allowed to bring essentially any food items into the park as long as it's legal to bring into the park. Growing up, we would pack our own sandwiches and like juice boxes and everything like that and eat in line. And so if you're really worried, definitely bring some food with you. So you're making sure that you're fueled and you're fed, but also just talk to your travel agent about your allergies and make a plan so that you know that you'll be safe. But yeah, it's probably my biggest thing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, because neither one of us can like have a good understanding of this. So it's great to talk to someone who really understands and lives with this and can help other people, knows how to help other people. So that is gonna do it for this episode of Wand and Crown, and we will see you all next time. Oh, and we will put Meredith's information down in the show notes for anyone who wants to talk to her, follow her, all that fun stuff. Thanks.